All right.
Guess that theme song.
Guess that theme song.
No, it's not Magnum PI. All those tunes that we used had that back then, had that vibe to it. That's back in the day where if you actually looked like Tom Selleck, a promoter would use you hoping that you had something to back up the look.
So Twisted Steel Fight
And
1
Sex Appeal
got the theme song from last week. The theme was, let's see, and someone else got it.
What was the theme?
Let's see. Chris Bradshaw. Theme is from the 605 TBS World Championship Wrestling Show.
That's right.
Yes, so we got questions from both of them this week, and I bet they're excited that we're going to take them. And again, if you got questions, I know I do this every week, but please ask them. Ask us your questions. We're running out of things to talk about.
Ask us. It doesn't have to be about wrestling. It can be about love, relationships, finance.
No.
Anything you want to discuss. We're very learned young gentlemen here.
So Twisted Steel, the theme was WCW Herd Era TBS show. After moving from the Techwood Drive studio, TBS Sports Arena, as Gordon Soley would call it, center stage
right.
show. Yes, correct. Okay, so we were trying to get to this question last week, but we got cut off because we didn't have enough memory on the iPhone.
We were busy doing the Bret Hart continuing as we're going off the air.
So Daniel Moore. A chop from Wahoo would be deadly. He's commented on something we said a few weeks ago. What are your thoughts on King Kong Bundy? I thought he was great.
He's a bit of an ingrate. I know. Not speaking ill of the dead, but I just think he might have been a little bit ungrateful.
I saw a YouTube thing where he didn't like Dad, or he I just remember I was at a show with Dad. It was like in 1998. There was a wrestling show and. I was, 18 years old or something like that. He was super nice to me. I went up, scared to death of him. I never realized how big he was in real life. Like I'd always seen him on TV. I had no memory of him from a kid. I don't even know if I ever met him as a kid. But it was at a show in Texarkana, and he was in his King Kong Bundy gear, and man, he was friggin' huge. And I was scared of him, and I went up to him and introduced myself to him. I go, Mr. Bundy, and which his name's not King Kong Bundy.
Chris Palias, I believe.
Yeah, and he was real nice to me. I go, Mr. Bundy, hey, I'm Gary Hart's son. I'm Chad, and he just goes, "Are you the one all those girls are screaming at out there?" I was like, he's being real nice to me. So I liked him. That's the only time I remember meeting him. I know. Yeah. So, anyways, thoughts on King Kong Bundy?
I thought he was very, very good. I think even later in his career, he still had a lot of gas in the tank. But for some reason, he felt that Dad did him a great disservice, and I don't see it that way. Dad brought him here. Bruiser Brody and Dad found him in Atlanta, and they brought him here. And he was Big Daddy Bundy first, and then they did the thing where he turned against the Von Erichs. And they did the head shaving and created and cultivated that look that he later went on and made a fortune with. I mean, nothing against him. I think I met him a few times as a small child. Very impressive guy, but it just seems like he wasn't too grateful as for what Dad did for him. And the guy who actually really helped him more than Dad or Bruiser Brody was Honky Tonk Man. He was the one who told him, Honky, Jimmy Wayne Ferris, greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Greatest Intercontinental Champion
told him, I think you need to go with Gary Hart and do the thing in Dallas. And I mean, nothing against
really?
Bundy.
I didn't know that.
Nothing against Bundy, but obviously a huge guy. I always respect size and men, but I just it's kind of disappointing that he felt the Dad did him a great disservice. I don't mean to speak ill of the Dad, but I thought he was great, but it's just kind of disappointing that he felt that Dad gave him the short end of the stick. I mean, I know Dad brought him here to make.
Dad really liked him.
Yeah, and there was a few occasions where he probably wanted a couple of days or two off, but back then, Dad told him, "Did you come here to make money, or did you come here to do something else?" But no, I mean, nothing but respect for Bundy, but it's just kind of disappointing that he felt that Dad did him a disservice because that was not the intent.
Okay, McWhorter 141. I just found out about your channel. I loved your dad and still watch his interviews. Best manager ever. Thanks.
Thank you.
What did your dad do after he retired from wrestling, booking, and managing?
Watched wrestling and talked about how inept Jim Herd was.
Yeah, 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 he kind of always, even was at a much smaller level, but always kind of stayed.
Stayed involved in local promotions because it may give you a little bit of money to pay the rent, and it also helped you stay involved and nurture the younger guys along that had a chance. And he always felt that that was important, and it is. It's something we don't have anymore.
There was a time period in 1994 and 1995 where he was just totally just removed from it,
Yes,
and
actually, yeah, 1994 would have been the first year since like 1960 that
yeah,
he didn't go to. That he never went to a building where there was matches, or 95 either.
yeah. So he liked to cook, so he did a lot of cooking,
Football, boxing.
football,
I mean, he would actually go box.
watch the OJ
Oh
trial.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Tell me to cut my hair, those kind of things.
yeah, so yeah, I just kind of kicked it,
Yeah.
just kind of chilled.
But
Yeah,
always watch wrestling 6:05 on a Saturday night. Uh, whatever it was, prime time or Raw on Mondays. Always watch wrestling. Love the younger guys. I mean, when guys would ask, people would ask him in 94, 95, "Hey, Mr. Hart, wrestling ain't as good as it used to be, is it?" That was like, "Oh, I don't know about that. There's a couple of good young boys. There's Shawn Michaels. There's Diesel. There's Razor Ramon. There's Bret Hart. He's very good. There's The Undertaker. There's 1, 2, 3 Kid." He always kept it. He enjoyed wrestling. He enjoyed those guys. He always liked to see the younger guys come up.
yeah. Um, Gail DLW, another great show. Thanks.
Thank you.
Um,
We tried.
just a couple questions from your perspective. Have the real stories of the Von Erichs, Chris Adams, or Gino Hernandez ever really been told? Do you think they will ever be? Question. I have so much compassion for their friends and families having to slog through some of the things they that get around. Then she says, "Now your father, he terrified me. He always looked so mean. And when he and Fritz would go at it, they both scared me. I guess that's what made them good at their job."
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad this came up because I wanted to the Von Erich movie. So A&E just did a new documentary
Yes.
on
Yes.
the Von Erichs.
Mm-hmm. Uncle Kev, you're looking good.
I will say the WWE DVD that came out in like 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really
Great producer, Steven, by the way. Tremendous man. Great young
that
man.
that really captured. That was well told.
Yes.
That was. But so going to the movie that came out, the motion picture, the Hollywood movie, I just wanted to say again, like we talked about this like a while ago, but I don't know if anybody ever watched it. I think we had 3 viewers at the time. But yeah, I just want to say how far off. Like asking, have the stories ever really been told? I just want to say again how far off the Von Erich movie
like David
was.
Manning said, great story. Just wasn't. They just didn't tell the true one.
Yeah, I mean, just the one thing, like, just it was so far off. Like the one scene is Kevin Von Erich in the supposed to be in the sportatorium
He couldn't be outside the
parking lot, and he's meeting his wife,
Who, and that's not
Pam,
where he met her.
so saying that he met her at the matches, which is so far off. And then just the fact, and they have Kevin Von Erich standing there in the parking lot talking to her, and just fans are just walking around like, dude, Kevin Von Erich could not stand in that parking lot without being mobbed.
They had to close Six Flags to get those dudes in there.
Just that was one of it was just
Terry opened up a gym and they were overwhelmed.
Yeah, I just can't. Now I saw it when it came out. I just can't say how far off that movie was.
As soon as Kerry would pull up in the Corvette at the building, the women. I mean, you think Def Leppard was coming.
Right.
They couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Kevin and Kerry would be mobbed when they'd go down the aisle.
Yeah.
David was looked at like a war general. I mean, It was that you couldn't go anywhere.
The other one's about Chris Adams. I think there's some stuff out there that kind of tell what happened to him.
Well, that's one of the main reasons Dad wrote the book, because he wanted to set straight a lot of the lies and untruths. I mean, are some of like Vince Neil, Motley Crue said, you got to be the fool and the hero. I mean, a lot like, as Dad would say, careful what you've heard. You've heard a lot of bad things. Some of them are true.
Yeah. The Chris Adams, I think. I don't know.
Well, they called us, or you. I remember somebody tried to get a hold of us about 4 or 5 years ago. They wanted to talk to you about what went on with Chris, because we knew him really well. But as far as I mean,
I think Chris's story is kind of like, I think you can really look into it and just find out what
and
happened.
I talked with a young man fairly recently who's busy doing a
Oh
piece
yeah.
on the gentleman, and I think he was very, very knowledgeable. And I think, I mean, I'm trying to, all from like Frank Zane is in bodybuilding. All I can do with this is my part, and I see a lot of things that there is being said that I don't agree with. I just try to, help along. But yeah, Chris, a lot of things you heard about Chris were true.
And Gino Hernandez, I think maybe what she's getting at is,
No, he just overdosed. He took too many drugs.
yeah, I think Kevin Von Erich tells the story best.
Hmm.
Gino obviously, had a cocaine problem.
If there was a gun laying next to him, it wasn't even fired.
He was really paranoid,
He's
and
carrying a gun.
Kevin said that they found cocaine in his stomach.
Yeah,
So he
because
said people don't drink cocaine, but he
yeah,
did. So I think that's what happened.
I mean, when you're that far, I mean, I've known other people outside of the wrestling business that had severe drug problems, and the neurosis and the psychosis that sets in, and what you think you hear and what you think you see, it. So if you ever hear a story of anyone acting irrational while they're under the influence of, it could be cocaine, it could be heroin, it could be speed, it could be anything. If you hear of someone acting irrational and saying crazy things and doing crazy things, like they say Gino was doing, believe it. Gino took too much, and he's no longer with
And
us.
going back to the Von Erich movie that came out a couple years
Which
ago,
I told you what that was going to
the
be.
way they portrayed Mike Von Erich, dude, was like everything.
He's a ladies' man.
Yeah, Mike was yeah, it was just so
And Fritz
far
calling
off.
Doris Dottie. No.
What?
Dottie?
Oh,
No.
oh, like yeah,
No.
yeah. It was just I can't. I
I thought they had a really. I
The
thought,
guy that played Fritz really looked. I thought he was a good choice to
and then
play
trying
Fritz.
to, and then you would sit there and then saying, with I saw the one scene where Fritz told one of them, "Well, he's the Texas champion." Even if these weren't wrestlers that I knew, coming from the wrestling business, I would know that these people did not say these things. Totally
And like
farcical. They acted like they weren't in on the work.
yeah, and like Carrie or Kevin
And
was
Kevin didn't care
jealous
about being the
because
world
Carrie
champion.
was
He
going
didn't
to be
want
the
to be the
world
champion.
champion. It was
No.
just so
Kevin
stupid.
could have cared less about having a belt. I mean, had it been to help the family and to do what was right, yes, he would have done it. But he had no interest in being world heavyweight champion
Um,
because he would have had to leave Texas and
right.
being with David and Kerry and Mike and Chris. That's no. Kevin could have been the world champion, but he just didn't want to be.
Um,
And there was no animosity between the two of them on anything. Please,
so yeah, thanks for the question.
thank you.
Um,
And the next time you're going to make a movie about the Von Erichs, why don't you come ask people that don't ask Jason and Chad Hart? Go ask Brian Adidas. He knew.
yeah,
Still
yeah,
does.
really, yeah.
What's going on, Brian? Hope you're doing well.
Okay,
I'm
so
sure you're watching this.
yeah, KPLLC. Um, in one of your videos, you mentioned that WCW Dusty, I believe, was trying to get Gary to return. I understand why he didn't. I understand why he did not accept, but as a fan, I wish he would have. They could have used him. I assume
Oh, yeah.
this was in 1991,
Yes.
and I instantly thought, I bet he was going to have Harley race his spot. Interesting he says that because about the Kongs.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Gary Hart as solidifying Luger's heel turn as the new world champion and giving him a mouthpiece. When Luger leaves in early '92, Gary could have then moved to Vader just like Harley did.
Mm-hmm.
You know more about this than I do.
Yeah, because Dad, once he left there, he left with tremendous. I mean, it was just as bad as you can possibly imagine. Because like Ricky Flair had said many times about that office, because he stayed for about another year, it was dysfunctional, and everyone was against everyone else. Dad had been gone for about a year, and Dusty reached out to him and said, "I'd like for you to come back, bringing everybody back." I know he talked to Jim Cornette too, and obviously talked to Paulie Dangerous or Paul Heyman or whoever he's known as now, and reached out to Dad, wanted him to come back, and Dad went, "Babe, I'd love to, but I don't want to deal with that Jim Hurt." And Dusty said the same thing he said to Jim Cornette: "You're going to deal with me. You're not going to be dealing with him." And Dad was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And then eventually, Dad talked to them a few more times, but didn't go back. And as far as going back at 90, that's 91 is when this would have happened. As far as Luger's heel turn, yeah, but I think I don't really. I remember when that happened, when they turned him heel again. Dad was like, "I don't understand why they're doing this. The people are busy admiring him right now." But yeah, that's a possibility that he would have been who Dusty chose to be with Luger. I mean, also that Dangerous Alliance thing that they put together. Maybe that's what, because Dusty always liked Dad having Army, so that's a possibility. As for what Dusty's plans were for Dad coming back in, I have no idea what they actually were. I just knew that Dust wanted Dad and Jimmy Cornette to come back, and both of them had declined because Jimmy was doing some girl wrestling or something at the time, doing commentary, and Dusty would say, "Are you doing that LPGA, baby?"
Yeah, one of the reasons why Dad, I think, never came back was Dad. He didn't want to just be
Yeah, he was not going to be the type of manager for the office. Dad wanted to go, and if he saw something,
right.
like let's say, for instance,
But
this has been 3 years before, and Hunter would have been there just as he got off the boat. That would have been something he would have wanted.
but he says he could have seen Dad as Luger's mouthpiece. Like
Yes.
Dad would have been down with that. Dad
Yes,
loved Luger.
Dad actually there was some debate about him managing Luger around the end of '89, and Dad was looking at it because if you notice after the I Quit match with Terry and Ricky Flair, when they're going back up the aisle, Dad starts sticking noticeably close to Luger. If you notice that,
That would suck if Lex Luger sent us a message. It's like, guys, that never happened.
well, that's
but
that was
that'd still be cool to hear from Lex Luger,
that
even
was
if
debated. No, but Dad always saw a lot
was
in
it
him.
true. Let us hear from you.
Dad and I met Lex. I saw him about 15 years ago, and went up and introduced myself. Nice, gracious, good Christian man, very strong man.
Yeah, Lex
Great
Luger.
man.
That would have been cool. Dad with Lex Luger.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, and I think the WCW, they could have used Dad in general for that. But Dad, unless it was something that now, if you would offer him Lex Luger, of course. But as far as Jim Herd and
well, he's right. This
not being able to develop who we wanted, because Dad was one of those managers who he wasn't just a leg puller or just walking down the aisle to get a guy over, but he wanted to develop something and make it his own. So he just told Dusty, "Sorry, baby." But they talked a few more times, and there was always in the background a possibility, but nothing ever really changed there, and his mind never changed either.
But I think this guy, I think he's on to something. He said, I assume this is 91, and instantly thought he was going to have Harley spot.
It's possible.
I've kind of, yeah. I didn't realize that till just recently watching old stuff. But also, like, people remember the Awesome Kongs that came in the WCW in 1993. Dad was supposed to be with them, and they put Harley with them. Or that was another time Dad was thinking about going back there.
And then at the end, towards the end, I think there was also talk of him in '93 with the Nasty Boys or something like that, right before. I think that's right when Eric took over. Somewhere in there at the end, that was like August, September.
Yeah, because we were visiting Dad's family.
Yeah. So it was always in the background, the ether that he may go back, but it just wasn't going to be something that he was going to want to do. But yeah, they could have used him, but they didn't. They needed it, but they didn't exactly want it.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Please ask us more. We're running out of things to talk about. Okay. Man, my eyes. Grantle Wiss. I remember your dad and Mario Milano in Australia and turning him heel.
Oh, the big mistake.
Did your dad ever talk about his adventures down here? Oh, so he's in Australia, this guy. I like how he put heel and he spelled it H-E. Yeah, so, oh no, I thought, okay. Did your dad ever talk about his adventures down in Australia?
Constantly.
Yeah.
I love that place.
I wish I would have, as a kid though, you're just looking at it as like your dad telling stories, and I never really paid attention.
Him and my mother loved Australia because I think Dad went there 3 times. I think in 68, 69, 70, 70. He was part of the last tour, or as he would say, tour back then. No, that was probably, he told me next to that was probably professionally for him his the best time that he had, because he was there they were making money. He was there with his friends, Uncle Donald, the spoiler, Uncle Mark Lewin, King Curtis Ike. He was there. He was in the late 20s, early 30s, making a ton of money, and he was making money with his friends.
Yeah.
So he always looked at that. That Australia had a special place in his heart, and it still has a special place for Uncle Mark too.
And
as far as the Mario Milano return, that was something both him and Mark Lewin, my uncle, was the booker at that time, and Dad was in charge of that, and they both looked at that as a massive flop because it was too much of a. If you go back and look at the tape, it's too much. It's not as organic and as fertile and as natural as the Chris Adams turn, because if you can see during the match, it's Uncle Donald and Carl Cox against Mario, and I don't remember who was. Forgive me, I don't remember who he was teaming with. And it's like Dad keeps yelling, "Do it, do it, do it." It's like the heat's being put on Dad and Uncle Donald and Carl Cox, which they didn't need the heat. So fast forward, this was in like '68. Fast forward to 1984 when Dad's being asked to do the Chris turn. That's in the back of his mind because Mario was a huge baby face in Australia because Australia had a lot of ethnics. They had the Greeks, Spiros Arion, they had Mario for the Italians. He was a Jeet Singh for the Hindus. They had a lot of guys over there, ethnics. So to force that heel turn, and like even Uncle Mark said years later, that was a flop. So that's why that also influenced Dad when he did the Chris turn. So it was a lot more subtle. But as far as Australia, that was probably that was his favorite time.
And I remember he said him and Mom lived in an apartment that looked over Sydney Harbor.
Sydney Harbor, right across from the Opera House.
So is that true? Are there really apartments that overlook Sydney Harbor? I always thought that they said it was a penthouse, but I think that was just like kind of. I don't know. I don't think the money was good enough to live in a penthouse.
Those guys were making bank.
Oh,
Dad, Uncle Mark, Brute Bernard, Uncle Donald, Dusty and Dickie were there as the original Texas Outlaws until Barnett made them go home because they were just too crazy for words.
Yeah. Cool.
What that was probably like you have times in your life where you look back, okay, that was my favorite time. That probably was Dad's favorite time because he was there doing what he wanted to do. He was making money with his friends.
Thanks for the question. Please ask anything else. We're running out of things to talk about. Sorry, I love saying that. Okay, Chris Bradshaw. He got the theme song right. I love the theme song part. Yes, he did. In 1984, if World Class had followed their syndicated TV and toured nationwide, what changes, if any, do you think the promotion would have had? What changes, if any, do you think the promotion would have had to make in order to sustain long term as a national promotion? I got one. Number one. Yeah, so
we're all waiting.
No, okay. So number one is the problem is that the things that kept happening, like obviously Kevin Von Erich, that is your centerpiece. That's your Hulk Hogan. I mean that and then the things that kept happening. So that was the problem. It would have been like in 1984 if Hulk Hogan, would in WWF. Also, I think they needed now tell me if I'm wrong. They needed a cable show. So was ESPN? That was just Legends, right?
Everyone is missing the big picture.
Was ESPN just the Legend show?
We didn't have it yet.
Okay, so here's the thing.
That didn't start till '86. We were supposed to go on in '85, but they wanted to put it up with roller derby, and Fritz said we ain't having it.
So they needed cable.
That was in '85.
They needed cable television. The business was changing. Cable television was at this. I mean that.
Yes.
New York. They needed cable television. The syndicated they still syndicated. They need those shows. They needed cable television, and the main guys. They had to stay healthy. What am I saying wrong? Okay.
The reason Vince was able to do what he did.
What does that have to do with Vince?
And the reason.
Okay. Oh boy.
And the reason Jimmy was able to do what he did is they both had powerful TV stations. Vince had USA. Jimmy had TBS.
That's what I'm saying.
Vince had Hulk Hogan.
Had Flair. That's what I just said.
Beginning, middle, and end.
I said for World Class.
But we weren't gonna.
You had to keep the main guys healthy, and they needed a cable channel.
We were not going to have Ricky Flair if that was going to be the case.
You had Kerry Von Erich and Kevin Von Erich.
We needed Ricky.
Okay. Thanks for the question,
not
Chris.
Not that we couldn't have decided we're going to put the belt on Kerry or Kevin and it wouldn't have worked, but we would have been stronger if we would have stayed aligned with Jimmy. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And Fritz was old school. He wasn't going to go against the rules of not promoting where your allies were. No.
Yeah. Okay.
But so much of it gets, you get lost in the moment where you don't remember how things actually were back then.
I'm just saying that would have been if we were sitting in I would have just said this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Ric Flair.
And
obviously.
break out the checkbook and buy Ricky Flair's loyalty.
Right.
That's what you would have done.
Oh, and also
because no one else was accepted, because the people in Dallas and in Texas, if you had Ricky, that belt he had, that belt was looked at as I mean, no disrespect to Hulk Hogan, but people in Dallas and the world class audience did not take the WWF belt seriously. They took Ricky Flair's belt seriously. Whoever had that belt was recognized in Dallas as the guy. So if you would have bought Ricky Flair's loyalty, yeah, and had a cable station, then we got something.
Here's another thing. Maybe not breaking away from the National Wrestling Alliance. That way you still get Flair.
But how do you follow
I don't
your
know.
TV show
Like,
if you're
this is
not?
not really happening. We're
But
this is
that
just
was part.
we're
That's how the
asking a
alliance
question,
was set
answering
up.
a
Well, how are we
question.
supposed to run Charlotte
Okay,
if Jimmy's TV's
I
already
just
there?
said that would have been a good.
Because once we broke away from Jimmy, he started running Reunion Arena. He had never done that before.
Right, and also I wouldn't tour nationwide. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't touch like California and
No.
I mean, unless it started to spread out that way.
No.
But definitely, I wouldn't. You got to go. You got to go outside of Texas. You got to, but go to the East Coast. Yeah, I don't know. Good question, Chris.
But
and please ask us more.
The television station and the flagship guy. Not saying Kerry couldn't have been that way, but if we'd have backed up the Brinks Armor Truck and signed Ricky, yeah.
Who would have been one guy in world class you would have turned heel to develop as a world champion? You don't have to. Hey, that's a good question for y'all. Who's somebody you would in world class you would have turned heel to groom to be the next maybe heel world champion? Because
Chris Adams.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's a good point. So finish your questions, and if you can guess this theme song, we're way under budget, so we don't have any tickets for you.
I'll book your territory.